All right, guys, welcome to Foundry Mastery. We are in session 3. Are you guys ready to go deeper? Okay, forgive me for my absence. I've had an intensive. So for those of you who have done it, you know how that goes, where you're in sessions for like 15, 16 hours. So I have been away. You will see me starting tomorrow. Looking forward to engaging with you. I do catch the Marcos when I can, but I'll be fully on board and deep in. Tonight's gonna be a good class. Let's get it.
All right, gentlemen, we all have traveled down the path of EDOS. We're starting to play with these things. Did everybody kind of take a chance to kind of just identify the patterns that they're seeing in the people around them? What emotions are happening? I'm telling you, if you tap into this, you're going to realize that, you know, like I said last week for the guys that stayed, we're all kind of our own drug dealers, right? And we will actually seek these drugs out either through other people or through sedation. If you remember, we were talking about sedation back when we were talking about the competency scales, right? That when we're in conscious incompetence, we start seeking ways to be competent or ways to at least feel competent, even when we're not, instead of doing the work. That seeking of competence comes from those four chemicals. Those are the drugs you're chasing on a daily basis. That's what you're looking to feel, that happiness, that sense of adrenaline, sense of purpose, sense of bond. I mean, have you really ever thought about the fact that you are only chasing four small things? You keep thinking it's multiple things. It's really just the sense of accomplishment, the sense that you have purpose or drive, dopamine, sense that you have a bond and belonging, and the sense that there's something exciting and new in your life that causes you to focus. That's all you're going for. You're trying to get rid of two: cortisol, GABA. Cortisol, stress, all the things that go with it. And GABA is the I don't care. Yeah. So it's important that you're paying attention because you cannot play this game without realizing what emotions are being emitted by the people that you're dealing with on a daily basis. And if you're looking at an emotion, no reaction, you're looking to identify the chemicals at play. Then you're looking for the stimulation patterns. What in their patterns and behaviors demonstrate that certain things are being activated? We don't need to focus on the negative, because if you focus on the negative, like, oh, this makes her angry, I mean, that's good to know. Wouldn't it be better to focus on what makes her smile, what makes her laugh, what gets her excited? If you focus on the negative, you're going to be dodging bullets the rest of your life, whether it's at work, at play, in the gym. You want to focus on how to get to the positives and build those up, keep those rolling. It's good to identify the negatives, but focus on building the positives. Because when those chemicals are all present, those negatives can't exist. I want you to think of this in the perspective of, we're always trying to figure out what we're doing or we're not doing to cause, or really sometimes we think it's them. And it may be, maybe their patterns are all off in many cases, but it can all be overridden. It's programmatic. There's a thing that pisses her off every single time you do it. There's a thing that pisses a boss off every time you do it. There's a thing that makes them smile. There's a thing that makes them feel bonded. And if we can work on, there's a thing that makes them feel a sense of satisfaction. And if we take note on those things, we can use them effectively. Hassani has, you probably heard him say it before, he has a book of Danielle. All the things she likes, all the things she doesn't like. Might not be a bad idea. I'd take that into my workplace. What works in the gym, what doesn't work in the gym. Take it in the gym, take it into your diet. What works, what doesn't work. If you get down to it, just like when you were doing your impossible games, you were doing your fat maps, working, not working. Increase and enhance the working, figure out what works for the not working. How do we do that? Rule 1, rule 2, rule 3, rule 4. This is all going to play into each other, fellas. Every level of the compass will play into each other. How do you do rule 1? Through integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enrichment. Right? Certainty bridge, form a belief, something you want to believe. Right? Cross that certainty bridge. They all play into each other. And the more dynamically you can look at that and see that they all play into each other, the more tools you're going to have to get what you want out of life. Any questions about the chemicals? Are we good? Anybody?
Yeah, is there a way like I'm driving right now, I'll be parking in a second, but how like I really want to get a better understanding on how to like dig deeper into them and how to get them actually activated like in conversation or in people or in life. Like is there I know the leaders eat last is kind of like more like a corporate setting, but how can we do it like more in a interpersonal one-on-one setting with basically anyone we're dealing with?
It doesn't matter whether it's a corporate setting or a public setting, they work the same. It's the same thing whether I'm doing it for a group or whether I'm doing it for an individual. Now, there's different scenarios involved, but when you're dealing with a group, you're looking at the group think, you're looking at the group culture, you're looking at the group responses, you're looking at how they react as a group. When you're looking at an individual, it's much easier. You're playing one person. So in conversation, you're looking for patterns. Some of you stayed on. I set people up all the time. I set them up. I don't always do it with my closest people, which is makes no sense at all because you just get comfortable and you drop your guard. But if I see a guy, he's got pictures of the FOIC on his thing, I know this guy's in Scotch. So I'm gonna set up an environment where I'm the commander and I outpower him in Scotch, right? Not necessarily sitting there saying I'm gonna drink 5 sheets to win. I'm talking about buying a $150 shot in front of his face while he's drinking a $20 shot. And I'm gonna say, hey, look, you want one? And he's gonna be like, whoa, did he really just order that? That's $150. If it was cigars, same thing. If it was, I create environments that you can actually that where I'm looked to as the dominant, and that's in business. Now, in interpersonal relationships, like with my wife and things like that, there's certain things that I know she has patterns on, and those patterns that she emits, I try to create a dominant pattern. The dominant pattern is going to be something that brings them some kind of joy. I will balance these between the power bases that we're going to learn tonight and the chemical drivers. So when you understand how they work together between these four power bases that create legitimate power, I will create scenarios with stimuli for the emotions to create that power. Okay. So I'll get deeper into that, and this might close some of the gap for you for us out when we actually talk about this tonight. Anybody else?
Yeah, Jeff, I have a question. When we go into our four power bases, is that going to help us? Maybe I'm not saying this right, so I got to make sure I say it right. Is that going to help us deal with the emotional side of our wives when they come at us constantly and it's like a roller coaster? And I know we have to figure out when they're not in that roller coaster and they're in a good mood, what makes them always good. I understand all that, but is that going to help us?
It can,
Okay.
if you use it right. So it can draw a box around certain things. The number one problem I find is there's a fear typically of drawing a line around acceptable and unacceptable, because we often feel the guilt, blaming the guilt, the blame, the shame of what we've done to create the scenario, and we use that as an excuse for their bad behavior. My fault. And there's a healthy dose of that to an extent. But as Asani said in his video so eloquently, I couldn't have said it better. I wish I could duplicate his eloquence. But he was talking in the video to this group about drawing that line. Like, okay, I messed up, paying my dues, I'm trying to do the right things, I'm on the right path. And now they're acting out of character, out of who they are. And we will oftentimes, because of our behaviors and our responses to that, encourage that behavior, because when we go weak, they get power. So, yes, if you understand what I'm going to teach tonight, you will be able to draw those lines and be like, no, wait a second. No, you're not going to do that.
Let me piggyback because I know you'll be able to say it with a whole lot more intelligence and finesse. But one of the lessons that I learned about when someone is attacking you, think about karate. They punch, you block. Now, in blocking their punch, it's force meeting force. Their fist can hurt, your arm can hurt. They kick, you block with your leg. You both get hurt in that process. One thing I loved about watching what's that dude's name? He did all the martial arts movies. Is it Steven Seagal?
Yeah.
What was that martial arts that he used?
Aikido.
It was Aikido, right? His form of martial arts, he was able to control and manipulate and take people down by taking control of their force and using it to his advantage without him getting hurt. Right. So when it comes to the aggressiveness, the assertiveness, the force, when your wives or your women come at you, power doesn't always have to show up in an aggressive way. I'm going to overcompensate. I'm going to dominate you with my force and it doesn't have to happen like that. That just leads to more conflict. As he begins to break down these power bases, I think you'll have a more sophisticated approach to handling those type of situations.
Absolutely. And like there's different approaches. Power on power is Muay Thai, but I'm gonna tell you what's Muay Thai is power on power. It's very bang, 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 bang. And the problem with Muay Thai is you'll never see a Muay Thai boxer over 35. They're already broken all their bones. It's done. That's a bang, bang, die early sport. The Aikido is a very flow with it. Mine is what we call counter-recounter. We actually throw strikes back while they're striking us. But we can do that in a way that doesn't cause harm. We can do that in a way that, so it's just understanding what you're trying to accomplish. If you're probably trying to be more Aikido. Use their energy to kind of disarm and disable. And that can happen. And you don't realize how powerful your words are in the moments that they're, because your tone, all of these things, you're going to have to learn some of these things. They're in the books, okay? But you're going to be reading business books that cover this, not relationship books that cover this. I hate to say this, but most relationship experts, not you, Hassan, are foo-foo. They deal with kid gloves. And kid gloves don't always work in heavy, hot, hardcore situations. You're not going to be able to use that relationship book to walk into an armed conflict. Just not going to be able to do it. And some of the things you're encountering are armed conflicts, where there's at least violence of words and sometimes violence of action. And, you know, there's a difference between a negotiation table and a war. The State Department and the soldiers in the field are doing two different things. One group is talking it out and working it out. The other one's having to move tactically. And sometimes that tactically is to make sure that people don't get harmed. You're not trying to harm anyone sometimes. Trying to just maneuver and make it a barrier between people getting hurt. It's typically what the National Guard does when there's a civil war. They're really just trying to create a scenario where there's less violence. So you have to be tactical in your approach, and that requires you to slow down and get out of your emotions. You can't walk into your situation that where your wife is off the chain with you at the moment and losing it and be in your emotions. You will not handle that well. Believe me, I know. And it will not turn out the way you think it is. It should. But if you are calm, you can actually turn it and set barriers. You can draw lines and say, we're not doing this. Now, how that approach is done may be different in your scenario than in mine. But the lines can be drawn. This is unacceptable, and you're not going to do this.
And you have to learn how to not pay too much attention to the initial reaction, because
Yes.
initially they will kick and fight and scream and yell and demand their way. Now, guys, I need you to hear what we're saying in context, because if you are not mature enough to hear what we're saying, you're going to run off and say and do something that's going to be counterproductive. And then you're going to be like, well, Hassani and Jeff told me to do it. And then you didn't hear us, because it's almost like taking a scripture out of a chapter and interpreting it however you choose, and you didn't put it in the proper context. You understand? And so what we're saying is ultimately women do not respect weak men.
Facts.
They don't respect it. And see, there's this misnomer that, beautiful women or, women don't like nice guys. No. It's not that they're nice that's not attractive. There's a loss of masculinity that a lot of people have, where they don't make decisions, they vacillate back and forth, they don't speak up, they don't have vision, there's things that women are looking for that are part of that masculine energy that we don't operate in. And so we sit back, we fall back, and we accommodate to a fault. And every woman, I don't care how powerful she is, how much vision she has, every woman wants to be led by her man. Every woman wants to be protected by her man. I don't care how much money she makes. Every woman wants to be provided for by her man. There's certain roles and functions and duties and responsibilities that we have as men, and they don't respect anything that's counter to that. So when you're wimpy and whiny, and when you're like, yes, dear, and that's your overall disposition, they may get their way, which is what they want, but they will lose respect for you. Okay, so we're not saying go toe to toe. We're not saying try to win a verbal battle, and we're not saying taking on what society calls toxic masculinity. I'm the man. Do what I. We're not saying that. And if you're hearing that, you're hearing it incorrectly. But what we're saying is, in the midst of her emotional volatility, you have to be stable. You have to be solid. You have to be firm, right? You have to be consistent, unwavering.
Your pitch gives it away. If you get angry and loud, or if you get too soft and weak, you lose. I'll never forget it. I mean, this is, wow, gotta be 30 some years ago. There was, my parents ran a group home for juvenile delinquents, and the kids on both sides are playing basketball, and a fight broke out between a program in Camden and the one that we have in Jersey, or the one my parents used to run in Jersey. And everyone's trying to run around, calm everybody down, people ripping each other off of each other. Another dude runs through and sneaks the staff member, like everything's going crazy in the gym. And the guy who actually started the program, my dad was his right-hand man, who just happened to be at the game that day, walks out with a mic in the middle of the court and just starts singing Jesus Loves Me. And everybody's like, what is going on? Like, they all stopped and looked confused. Because everyone's expecting you to go weak or to go strong. No one's ever expecting you to be neutral. And I'm not saying neutrality in a I'm not speaking kind of way. I'm talking about actually setting a different tone. One that's not really picking a side. Where you're not necessarily defending yourself, but you're not allowing the behavior at the same time. Does that make sense? If it doesn't now, it will in a minute. Go ahead. Somebody had a question? No? Okay. All right. So today we're going to begin with the 4 power bases. The goal here is to gain legitimate power and authority over those we're responsible for. Okay. Without getting too far down that masculine line, I just want to touch on certain things. There's a tendency in today's modern society to scream women's rights, equality, and I'm all for all of that. Don't get me wrong. Woman wants to be a doctor. She wants to fly to the moon. She wants to build the greatest skyscraper. She wants to be a fighter. She wants to do all those things. Absolutely capable of it. 100% behind it. Go do you, boo. What I'm saying is there's a tendency for the person to take the archetype and act as if they've actually done that archetype when they haven't done the work to be that archetype. Okay. So I'm in a class with 3, lack of a better word, excuse my French for those who can't take it, 3 badass fighters, female. They've done the work to be the archetype and have me respect them as a fighter. And I'm going to tell you, they're smaller than me, but they can toss me around like a rag doll if I don't handle myself correctly. Okay? They've earned that because they not only had the right to do it, they actually did the freaking work. Right? I am woman, I'm powerful by itself means jack nothing. I am man, I am powerful means jack nothing. Most men I encounter, 90% to 98% of the men I encounter are weak little punks. And the ones that I meet that are not weak little punks, a lot of them are on the bad side of the tracks. There are few that I've encountered in life who are on the good side of the tracks who are strong men. I don't know why we don't have more strong men on the right side of the tracks, other than the fact that society has kind of dumbed it down. Men are starting to look more like women. I bet you right now, half of you go look in the mirror, take your shirts off. You probably look like a pregnant woman. Big tits and all. I'm just saying, I know because that's what I get from my mentor every single day. Even though I've dropped 28 pounds in the last month, he's like, great, you still look like a pregnant woman. He said, you're just 3 months pregnant now. Last week, you were 6 months pregnant. You still need a bra. When you want to get some veins in your chest? we're starting to look like we're weak. And if your body's a reflection of who you are inside, are you? See, we're painting these images of ourselves in our mind that we're not in reality. We're bigger, we're stronger, we're tougher, we're smarter. And when you look in the mirror, can you ask yourself, have I actually done the work to be considered a real man? That's a hard question because I wrestle with it. And I know I'm working hard. Okay, 550 pounds, and I still need a bra. I'm about to hit the 500-pound club, people. I literally have bench 500 pounds, squatted over 500 pounds, leg pressed over, I was like 1,300 pounds. I have one exercise to go to reach the 500-pound club, which makes me one of the strongest men on earth. And I still need a bra, according to my mentor. Right? We have work to do. I don't care how good you get. We still got work to do. And so if your woman looks at you like your woman, if she's barking at you, I'm telling you, she already looks at you like you're weak. I don't care how strong you think she is. If she's barking at you, you're weak. She sees you as weak. And I'm not talking about bickering. I'm not talking about complaining. I'm talking if she's barking. If she's she sees you as weak. Just saying. It's a harsh reality. One that we all have to deal with. So how do we get legitimate power? That's the goal, right? 8th layer of the compass. Legitimate power. And what is legitimate power? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Is that the right one? I hope I got the right one. Nope, that's the wrong one. Hold on, give me a second, fellas. This is the right one. So, share screen. Let's get to the right slide before I do that. Legitimate power. Boop, boop, boop. 2 seconds, fellas. Ah, there we go. Legitimate power. And let's just share that. So I'm in the middle of writing my book, so this is a quote directly from the book that hasn't been published yet. There we go. Share. Mailbox. There we go. Legitimate power is being anchored in authority. So this is something that was actually, I took this quote from my draft. It's not completed yet. Legitimate power is like the sturdy anchor of a ship in the vast ocean of influence. It's the power that springs from your rightful position and title, a beacon that commands respect and recognition. As you stand tall at the helm of your domain, your compass aligns with the north of authority. This is no license to wield recklessly. It's the privilege to guide responsibly. When you harness your legitimate power with the wisdom of the compass, you become a captain who not only navigates with confidence, but steers with fairness, ensuring that your authority is grounded in the fertile soil of integrity, which is you being honest with yourself. Okay? You being honest with yourself is the key. And so if you're starting with a lie about who you are and where you stand, there is no authority. It only takes a blow a whisper on someone without legitimate authority, to have it all fall apart. One knock on the right point and it all goes collapsing. Now, can you counter? Yeah, you can counter. But you're going to play this endless game of juggling how to hide the lie you told yourself about who you are and what you're going to be. That's why we spend so much time trying to figure that out, designing the human being we want to become so we can work on it. We're going to have weak points. Mine is my shoulders. If I can finally get 550 pounds or 500 pounds over my shoulders, I'm in the 500-pound club. That's my weak point. So as we look at this, oops, let's back that up. Where did the other one go? Okay, hold on. Let me stop. I'm missing my authority slide. So I want you to pay attention to the word authority. Who can tell me, we've discussed this before, who can tell me what the definition, what the root word of authority is?
The author.
The author. Wow. And so when we start talking about authorship, we're talking about writing. Whether it's fiction or nonfiction doesn't really matter. We want to write nonfiction in this particular case. We're writing the fictitious story of who we are. And what we do is we create a story that we can't live up to, right? I'm not saying you can't write a story of what you aspire to if you have willingness to learn, willingness to accept change, and willingness to put in the time, money, and effort. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you're not putting in the work, it makes you a liar. Does that make sense? So when we talk about anchored in authority, authority is the power or right to give orders, make decisions, and enforce obedience. It's the ability to influence and lead, often derived from knowledge, expertise, and experience. So if you're really looking at yourselves, how many of you can say you actually have the authority in your home? That you have the right to give orders. You have the right to make decisions and enforce obedience. That you have the ability to influence and lead your home. And that you have the knowledge, expertise, and experience to do so. Do you have authority in your home? Or are you taking that from the fact that you have a penis? I want to remind you that half of you have a penis, a pregnant belly, and bra-sized titties. Do you have authority in your home? Or are you just identifying as a pronoun? He, him. I'm hitting hard today, fellas. I'm sorry.
Yes, you are, Jeff. Hitting hard.
I got beat up today by my mentor, man. Y'all catching it too.
Give us some slack, please.
Well, I mean, he fell short of calling me trans. So
I don't want no slack. Give it all.
let's go. Let's go. That's what I like. Let's get it. Anyway. So the whole idea here is that if we gain legitimate power in the world, that means other people see us as legitimate. It's not that we feel legitimate. You know, this new feelings-based world is all about, well, if you feel like you're the man, then you're the man. You feel like you're in power, then you're in power. Well, yeah, I feel like I'm a billionaire, but you know what I mean? Like, I can't walk in the bank and withdraw that. That check don't cash. It bounces. I gotta earn that. And that means I have to influence people to see me as legitimate. Isn't that what we're trying to do in our homes? Some of us have done it in the world. We have a hard time doing it in our homes. I'm telling you, if you have a hard time doing your home, then you're probably hollow in the real world. If the wrong man comes and knocks on your tree, it's going to be hollow. So don't use the real world as a gauge of your manhood. Use your wife's compliance as a gauge of your manhood. And I'm not talking about compliance in like a do what I say way. I'm over here. This is not a license to wield recklessly. It is the privilege to guide responsibly. See, the shit don't work. It don't work if nobody follows the captain's orders. Being a captain ain't about man or woman. Being a captain is about authority. It's about responsibility, about a role, a title. The shit does not a role and really about the responsibility more than anything. He's responsible for the protection and the provision of every person underneath of his command. See, a lot of us look at authority and we got the right to tell people what to do. You get a title and you think you have something. No, leadership is more about responsibility than anything else. It's about your ability to respond. Can you guide this ship through a storm? Wifey's coming at you. That's a storm. Can you act responsibly in that matter? Or are you trying to prove your point? A point that you couldn't win if you wanted to by trying. You're a horrible person. See, I'm at the point in my relationship where I can tell my wife legitimately that you can throw all the daggers that you want at the man I used to be. But he don't live there no more. So you ain't talking to me. You talking to him. And because I'm not walking foul, what's she gonna say? But, ain't no buts. You can talk. He's over there somewhere. I took him outside in the backyard and buried him. You want to go visit his grave? Because that dude is dead. I don't know who you're talking to. You ain't talking to me. I've changed. I'm different. But if you want to visit the graveyard, he's out back. I put him 6 feet deep. If you're walking right, you can get away with that. Then the other thing is, you still have enough testosterone and big enough balls to say something like that. Or are you going to try to counter her argument with another argument or try to back down and be, but babe. When you're but babe, you still sound like you're still doing something. They read all that nervous tension and anxiety as if you're still doing something. Where's your confidence if that's not who I am anymore? I get it, you're in pain. I understand that. You have a right to feel that. I'm here to support that. Do you need a hug? I'm right here. I'm not going nowhere. I'm right here. But that guy you're talking to, he ain't here no more. I bet you, maybe not all of your women, but I bet you some of your women would just love to even hear you that confident for 5 seconds. So certain that that's not who you are.
Jeff, I have experienced that, and I have said that very thing. Maybe not as articulate as you, but certainly to say that, I'm different. I've changed. The response is just sort of still machine gun attack of, no,
I
that's
want
who
you to
you are. That's
record
your
yourself, Reggie. I want you to record next time you say it. And the reason why is, does anyone in here, I want you to be brutally honest, have anyone in here heard certainty in Reggie's voice since you've met him? Anyone, speak up now.
I have personally not.
You need to be understood, brother. You don't have certainty. You walk in fear every day. And predators smell fear. And when she's on the prowl, she's going to smell it. If she's upset, she's going to attack. You know what? I think I told you guys this before. When you look in the wild, there's animals that have their eyes on the side, and there's animals that have their eyes facing forward. All the animals that have their eyes on the side are prey. If your vision is always looking around you, worried about what that next thing's going to be, you're prey. If your eyes face to the future and where you're going, you might be a predator.
Jeff, I got something to say right here on this point.
Yes, sir.
Piggybacking on what Reggie said. My wife says, and I use some of the things that you're implementing now, but she says she could never detect anything before. So how does she know that that old man is buried outside? Because she couldn't detect anything before. I hope I'm saying this right, but that's what she always says to me. But I am stronger. I am coming back on her, and I am trying to be more authoritative in our conversation.
Can you be more indirect?
Help me out.
Babe, I see you're going through a lot right now. You can still say the same thing. I see you're going through a lot right now. It looks like you want to have a conversation. We don't need to raise our tone to do that. We can just go in the kitchen and have a conversation. I don't know why we're getting so loud about this. I know you're angry at that guy. He ain't here no more.
I got you.
You know, it's like yelling at an empty house, babe. You know, you go up to the house, that man don't live there no more. So, but I can visibly see that you're upset. Allow me to be a good man and sit down and listen to you talk, because it sounds like you need a friend, and you're my best friend. I'm going to be there for you.
She would say, if I'm your best friend, how can you do this to me?
I'm not doing anything to you anymore. That man that I used to be did all that stuff to you. He's a horrible man. But Jesus said, lay my burdens at the cross and forget about them. And that's exactly what I've done.
But you're that same person. But you're that same person physically that did that to me before. I'm still looking at that same person.
Well, you're still looking at the physical body, but you're not looking at the same mind.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to tell you right now, if I dig far enough in your past, I could find something that would cause you pain, or where you cause someone else pain that you regret. And I think that if I were to dig that far back and throw those things in your face every day, that you would not have the strength to not resent me for that. I'm trying my hardest not to resent you. I love you, I care about you, and I want to be there for you. Please don't turn me into the monster you think I once was. You think I am now. For thoughts that you have. I understand you have them, you're going through them, but we can have a conversation about that. You don't have to attack me. There's no sense of womanhood in your attacking me. And I didn't marry a man. So don't talk to me as if you are one. Because you really don't want that negative response. You don't want that response of me acting like a man with another man. If you want to cry, cry. If you want me to hold you, just be weak enough to be soft enough and gentle enough to let me hold you. But to sit here and take this, we're not doing this anymore. I already did this, Percy. with a Dominican wife that picks up knives.
I think my wife is Dominican. Man, I think she is. Woo.
We're not having that conversation no more. You're gonna act up, we're gonna call the police. You're gonna deal with them. I'm not doing that no more. We're not doing that no more. That's it. We're not doing that anymore. Look, you get receipts, you find something I'm doing, you leave, you take me for everything I got. You don't have receipts, you need to calm the heck down and listen to me. You want to have a conversation because you're in your feelings, I'm here. That's
And
it.
and she admits she's in her feelings. And I don't mean to take up our
So let her be a woman and let her get into her feelings and tell her to stop acting like a man. It doesn't look good on you. I didn't marry a drag queen. Don't say that. You'll get slapped.
Hey, no, that was solid stuff, man. I just the role play itself was extremely helpful. Just seeing it like in lifetime, because now I'm kicking myself for some of the shit I didn't say.
Yeah. It's always an open door. Believe it or not. It's one cup of coffee and the right dinner away. Because there's not a lot of men that do that are willing to stand in the storm and tell them the storm to calm down without telling it to calm down. It's okay, get it out, but don't do it that way. Redirect the storm. And you can be soft and gentle. You hear how calm my voice is? That's what's going to get them. But honey, I'm not the same man as I was. That pitch is an alarm to every animal on earth, that high pitch.
Jeff, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to say that when I did my wife wrong, not only did I have to win her back, but I kind of had to win her family back, her
Yeah, I
immediate.
witnessed that.
So, and I got to a point where I noticed how, for lack of a better term, how womanly I was when I would argue with her about a point. And a lot of times it was because I was afraid to stand in that acknowledgement of what I did wrong. And now it's just like night and day for me, at least, where if there's something that she's bringing up that either is from the past or currently that I'm working on, I'll be like, yeah, I did do that and I suck, but I'm gonna fix that, or so, but not apologizing to the point where it's sad. Now when I look at myself in the past, I'm like, man, you were just so like melting with emotions, and now I'm just like, all right, let's get it over with, and the argument's done within 10 minutes instead of 4 days.
Exactly. That's the whole thing, is creating a distance between them. And then once they've been trained that you're going to respond the way you respond. Now, I'm going to tell you one of the best things I ever did that taught me how to deal with this. I stick fight. And I stick fight people that are worse than me, and I stick fight people that are better than me. When the bell goes off ding, we engage. And I learned not to run. I just got a mask and gloves on and a hard wooden stick in my hand. And I take the wax. And I stay calm. And I have to breathe through it, because if I don't get my breathing down, then I overwork. Right? And if I run, I lose. But when I stand there and engage and move in closer, calmly, I can find my striking point. And the striking point in this conversation is something that touches her heart and causes one of those things to move. If you can get a tear in their eye, a feeling of compassion, right? You can get that oxytocin going, the bond going. If you can get the endorphins going, not in a negative way, but in the endorphins going to say, this is a man, like he's actually changed. Because you're reacting somewhat, your words may have changed, but is your posture, your stance, your position changed when you're standing in a conflict? Has your tone changed when you're standing in a conflict? Has your certainty changed when you're standing in the conflict? And I would say most of you probably it's the certainty thing. It's the certainty thing. Some of you are still walking around holding your guilt. You're gonna have to drop that at some point. You've got to create a big vision for the future and move towards it. And that ain't buying gifts. It ain't taking them to dinners. It's none of that. It's got to be a vision of where you want to end up. And I'm telling you, if you're starting to think about legacy 7 generations ahead and you start working on a mission that goes beyond this marriage, this situation, you're creating lifetime future goals that have nothing to do with your existence here that are going to benefit generations ahead. And she sees you working on a cause greater than yourself. How is she not going to see a difference? If she sees you studying every day, trying to become a better person, moving towards certifications, learning and growing, how can she sit there and say you're the same man? She can't. We got to get through this, fellas. We spent a lot of this time talking about legitimate power and anchored in authority. We're going to get into the next place. Expert power is the first power base. The first power base is expert power. You cannot have one of these in order to have legitimate power. You have to have all of these. This is knowledge-based authority. Its expert power emerges from one's knowledge, expertise, and skill in a particular domain. Individuals respect and follow those who demonstrate a deep understanding and competence in their field. Now, here's the deal. Patrick, you have that at work. But here's a problem. A lot of you have expert in a field, but here's the problem. That power base makes you a great worker. And when you spend too much time talking about that, people who have any kind of role around you will either look at you as in their way, if they're below you. Your peers will respect you when you work. They're not going to necessarily respect you when you talk. Your bosses are going to see you as a way to make money. Knowledge is great, but it's only good to the level that it can be applied. And if I don't understand you anymore, or if I can't find a use for you, your knowledge is only based on my ability to utilize it. Which means that I have to understand that you're actually smart. Which means if you're dealing with a dumb person, your knowledge doesn't mean anything. But is one of the most powerful pieces, because if you know and people recognize you're an expert, they may give you some step towards legitimate power. The second power base is called referent power. It's charismatic influence. You can write this down as star power. Referent power is built on personal charisma. That means people like to be around you, likability and admiration. But I want you to think about this. It's not just being able to talk, and like you can't just be charismatic and get any kind of power out of this. They've got to really want to feel like they want to be you in some aspect, or feel a real strong desire to be around you. People are drawn to individuals who exude qualities they admire or aspire to possess. You have to lead by example, and influencing through personal magnetism is one way to do that. It's the reason why you watch who you watch on basketball or football, or reason why you like that singer. There's something you aspire to be and admire about their voice, their dress, their talk. And as brute as my mentor is right now, and he is a brute, 6 years ago, he was in prison doing a 20-year bid. He didn't spend all 20 in, but ripped, rich, and rare is his philosophy. And I thought it was just a t-shirt. But ripped, when your body's in that great shape, everyone looks at you and goes, like, I'm telling you, like, I'm starting to actually really slim down. Like, I'm doing this power. It's not a crash diet or anything. I'm eating pretty good. I'm just losing crazy weight. So I'm at the gym and the guys who've been lifting there for a while are all coming up to me and talking to me. And they never used to talk to me before, but they're like, yo, man, you putting in that work. Got some of the fat guys that have been in there just as long as I have, but they stayed fat. They're like coming up to me and want me to work out with them, show them how I'm doing what I'm doing. Why are you doing that with the rubber bands? And I'm like, this rubber band will beat you up more than them weights will. They will. If you know what you're doing, let's go 4 sets of 25 with this little thin band. You're gonna find out. You're gonna be crying like a little baby. And I showed them, and like, it's nice. That means I actually have some referent power with these people just in the realm of fitness. Right? Think of this in this respect to 4 quadrants. You're going to need that expert power in all 4 quadrants. You're going to need that referent power, that charismatic influence on all 4 quadrants. Right? So his idea is ripped, rich, and rare. And so that's also his Instagram philosophy. And that's also what makes him $3 million a month. Is he uses ripped, rich, and rare to make himself stand out. Not the words, the fact that he actually is ripped. Like, you got to see the veins in your chest. He tells me that every day. Rich, he's got money and he drives nice cars and he's always doing all of his Instagram stuff in either showing off the fact that he's ripped, showing the fact that he's rich, or sometimes he drops into some really deep philosophy to show that he's rare. Shows he's actually studied, even though he's cursing every other word and talking about my brawl that I need and all these different kinds of things. He once in a while gets really, really deep. If you ever heard me talk about the self-actualization versus self-transcendence, that comes from him. And you have to get to a point where you transcend yourself. You have to not be worried about you anymore. You have to, self-actualization is just the beginning. If you've ever heard me say growth, personal growth is about as much about subtraction as it is addition. They're trying to add all these things into your life, but are you subtracting your bad diet? Are you subtracting your bad habits? Are you subtracting all the things that you learned that were wrong? If you're not subtracting those, you can't add anything to it and get anything out of it, because those negatives are all canceling it out. That comes from him. He's ripped, rich, and rare, and it stands out and creates charisma for him. Let's get to the next one. Any questions about charismatic influence and referent power? I want you to understand, referent power in and of itself is a fad. It's trendy. And people get bored of charisma. Like, you'll watch so much TV and so much, and then you'll be like, I'm done. And you'll change channels to something else that interests you. So if you don't have expert power and charismatic influence, you only have you only have one or the other. You only have part of the equation. People will get bored of you, because all of this isn't utility. There's no usefulness for you. Your knowledge combined with charisma gives you utility in a way that actually lets you lead. Because now you want to be like me and you don't know what I know. See how that sets me apart? Now, you could be an expert, and I look at you and go, man, he knows a lot, but I would never want to be him. He's nerdy, he's this, he's that, he can't dress, he blah, 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 can't talk. You know what I mean? You can know all the stuff in the world, nobody want to be you. But if you got both, well, you're well on your way. Now, these are the internal factors, the things you have 100% control over. The thing that's going to teach you, you're going to have to learn to wield as a weapon, is the third power base, which is reward power. You have to have the ability to reward. So reward power involves the ability to offer incentives or rewards to encourage desired behaviors and compliance. This can range from monetary rewards to promotions or recognition. It could be just recognition. But individuals are motivated to comply to gain their promised benefits. So, you go to a concert and you're in the line, and the star comes out and shakes your hand. That's a reward power. The signing an autograph is a reward power. The boss coming over and patting you on a job on the back, especially in front of everyone else, is reward power. Which hormone are we activating here? Could be two.
Oxytocin.
No.
Endorphin.
Dopamine and serotonin.
Boom. There we go. Dopamine.
That's that.
Scott.
Yeah,
Teach
yeah.
this guy. Man, I'm gonna bring you an apple next time.
Don't say that.
So, dopamine, if it's small, right? Serotonin, if it's big and it's been goal set, like after, oh man, you've done such a great job. We're promoting you and making you senior partner. Serotonin, right? Hey man, that was a good job in the game. Dopamine. Keep it up. That's dopamine. Okay. So this reward power is important because you've probably seen this. People who have expert power and charismatic influence who don't reward anyone, they lose their entire fan base. They usually end up broke. Allen Iverson, prime example. Now he's working for $160,000 a year as a coach or some kind of, not a coach, he's a over with the Sixers. They basically took him in. He's a charity case. Doesn't have any money left. Coercive power. This is the one people either overuse or are too scared to use. It's really hard to find someone who balances this well. Reggie, take this one down, please. Coercive power relies on the fear of negative consequences or punishments. It's about imposing penalties for noncompliance. Individuals may comply out of fear for the repercussions that are coming with defying the authority. If you do not have this one, you lose. You don't have to wield it very often. People have to know it's there. If you don't have it, you don't have authority. This little foo-foo land that everybody's trying to create is trying to pull away coercive power. Trying to make it seem like that is a completely bad thing. I'm going to tell you right now. When the school shooter comes in, you want someone to come and take them out. That's coercive. You're not going to walk out there and go, if you put down the gun, we're going to reward you. You're not going to expert them to death. You know, guns are bad. You're not going to be like, you want to be like me when you grow up. You're not going to do any of those things. You're going to pull out a gun and you're going to put this dude down. Whether you kill him or not, that's up to you. But you're going to use some kind of force to ensure compliance and make sure that there are penalties for non-compliance. If you don't have this, you don't win. There is a reason why we have a guns and butter economy. Now, guns and butter as a philosophy for economics is guns or butter. But you'll always hear people in the economics realm, and all the rappers too, say guns and butter. That's because that's what America is. We're guns and butter. Guns is coercive. Reward is butter. Right? We produce more food than everyone else and more weapons than everyone else. That's why we can't be beat. And the fact that we have expert power and we have referent power. The reason why China will never rule the world is no one wakes up in the morning and goes, I want to be Chinese. They have no referent power. No one wakes up and goes, I want to be Russian. They have no referent power. They overly use coercive power and they rarely give rewards. They're in order for a reason. You must be the expert first, then you must be referring. You must have people like you. Then, so you introverts out there have expert power and you know all this stuff. And because you lack confidence, you don't have any referent power, which makes you weak. When I see you guys coming, I take advantage of you and I make money off of you. And I keep telling you that you need to be more confident. You're better working on my plantation than someone else's. At least I'll pay you and treat you fair and give you a shot. But you're still a slave. Because you don't have the confidence to make anyone like you. You don't believe in
After I
yourself.
leave lot 13, go over to the stadium,
Yes? Which stadium?
finish out.
Anyway. You don't have any referent power. No one wants to be like you. Not because you don't have qualities that people want to be like. It's because you're scared to show that people should be like you. You won't step up and speak up for yourself. You won't stand up and say, hey, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I'm wise, I've lived all these years, and you should want to be like me. I have something to teach you. And so weaker men pass you in work. Weaker men pass you in life. Weaker men sometimes even take your girl. Because you don't have the self-confidence. You don't believe in yourself enough to stand up for yourself and say, this is who I am. And this is what I believe in. Message for introverts, I want it to be harsh. That's why you don't have power. Go ahead, Ben.
I'm gonna ask this question only because I would like to hear the answer. Is there certain power out of the 4 power bases that are certain proclivities to certain Enneagram types?
Of course. Five, 6, introvert. Correct. 2s can be. Right. 9s can be. 1s can be. So they may have not referent power. And they may use ways to get referent power that are kind of toxic. So like a 2, even though they're the helper, they can really go out of their way to be too helpful, and people don't really want that. So they lose all their ability to have referent power. Plus, since they're so helpful all the time, they become abused by people with coercive power. Right? And if you look at the power dynamic between couples, you can look at yours and see where there's a tendency. So if you're an 8, you have a tendency to be a bully. If you're a 7, you'll be manipulative just to have fun. Right? And you'll use that against someone who might be a little more introverted. And it'll violate all their sense of securities. If you're a 6, you'll just shut down and not talk to anybody. You'll use that as power over somebody, as a coercive power. Right? So we all have tendencies towards different powers that are more natural for us. But that doesn't. Astra inclinant, no sed ob no non sed obligant, sed non obligant. Yeah, that's it. Sed non obligant. That's Latin for the stars incline us, they do not bind us. That means whatever your Enneagram type is, whatever this is, you're not bound to that. Everybody who reads this stuff goes, oh, well, I'm just this way because I'm a 5. Remember that, Ben? You stopped saying that. I love that you stopped saying that. I'm an 8. This is just the way I am. Okay, I hear you. Is that what you want to be? Because if you actually read deep into the Enneagram, you find out that you are a lot of these. It's just this is your natural inclination to be that jerk, that introvert, that bully, that helper, that peacemaker. That's not who you are at your best self. That usually looks like something 3 ahead. My best self is a 6. I'm looking for the safety and security and protection of all those around me, and damn, anyone gets in the way of that. That's my 6. I'm a 3 though. I'm I'm supposed to wonder about everybody looking at me like I'm successful. Well, when I realized I was already successful, I could care less what you think. Before I wanted you to think it's if you were below me, I was like, oh man, I need that person to see me as successful. I used to go do things to make sure the people under me thought I was successful. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all. I am successful for all the people that are below me in life. What do I got to prove anything to them for? I need to prove up, not down. So that had me go around and start going, I need to worry about the safety and security of the people that I care about the most. Right? And got me out of my three, I need to be seen as successful. You're not stuck. So yeah, there are proclivities, natural proclivities towards certain Enneagram types and certain Myers-Briggs types, et cetera, et cetera. But you're not stuck there. If you stay there, I mean, that's like getting beat up and letting somebody piss on you afterwards. You know, you don't like where you're at, get up and do something about it. You're not beat down completely. So this coercive power is important. We're going to get a little bit more into this, and we'll probably watch a video next week. But we talked about the 4 power bases. Legitimate power, which is being anchored in authority. In order to have that, you must have expert power, referent or star power, reward power, and coercive power. Coercive power, use it sparingly, but if people don't think you're going to punch them in the face, they might say whatever they want to you. If people don't think you're going to pull out the phone and put them on Instagram, they might say whatever they want to you. If people don't think you're going to file the paperwork for the lawsuit, they might say whatever they want to you. I had a client literally saying whatever he wanted to me, and he's like, I think I should get some of my money back. I was like, well, I didn't charge you for all the stuff I did, so how about I send you a bill for that, and when you decide that you're not going to pay it, how about I sue you? Because that's what I should be doing. Guess what he did? He paid his next bill, and he changed his tone with me. When you're doing the right thing, you should stand in it. With your clients and your wives. A wise man loves reproof. Tell me what I'm doing wrong right now. I don't want to hear about the past. We already know about that. We done talked about that dead animal. What am I doing right now? Well, I don't talk about boogie monsters. I literally had this conversation with my wife. It did not go that well in the beginning, but it ended up working out. I'm not dealing with your boogie monsters. I'm not looking under your bed for monsters that aren't there. I'm not doing that with you. If you can find a monster under the bed, I'll deal with that. We can deal with that. You can yell at me, but there's no boogie monsters in the closet. There's no, there's no reds under your bed. That's not what the case is. You're sitting there arguing about phantoms that are in your head. If we need to talk to somebody, I'm more than willing to get counseling. If you need to see someone, I'll set you up with a psychiatrist. But if you're chasing what's not there, tell my wife all the time I used to be an alcoholic. I'm not that anymore. I don't drink that much. Once in a great while. So are we going to sit there and talk about my alcoholism? Doesn't make any sense, does it? Because it doesn't exist right now, does it? I used to be 360 pounds. Are we going to talk about that now? You fat, bloated, da-da-da-da-da. You going to yell at me about being fat? No, why aren't we talking about that? Because I ain't that no more. I work out every day. We used to talk about me being lazy and just sitting on the couch and watching TV till the sun falls, till the sun rises, never doing anything. Okay. We used to talk about how bad I was at taking the whole family on vacation. Now we go 6, 8, 9, 10 times a year. We want to talk about that? How bad of a vacation man I am? You see how that works? Percy, does that help? It only works if you're doing the right things. And it helps even more if you have other things that you've done for yourself to accomplish greater things. We used to talk about how I never paid the bills and how I wasn't a man. When was the last time you had to worry about a bill? We're going to talk about how broke I am? No, because I'm not broke no more. They're not having this conversation. I just gave you 9 points of how I'm a different man. And I know this one hurt you. But I'm different in all those regards, including that one. And one day, you're going to see that. But you're not doing this. I can be there for your pain. I can be there for your concern, and I can show you care and love. But I will not have you drag me through a mud puddle that I've already left. You know what the problem with dragging me back through that mud puddle is? You're putting me there in your mind. And how long before I actually go there? Don't conjure demons you don't want to deal with.
That's excellent, Jeff. You have hit it on the head tonight. You have hit it on the head.
That was coercive power. I literally just used their fear to impose a penalty for non-compliance. And most of us are scared to do that. When you understand this as a science, that this is the way the mind works, that society as a social contract has agreed upon these rules already, that when you learn how to wield these, they're weapons that can be used for good or for you. Please use them responsibly. Questions?
Yes, two things, Jeff. I used that coercive power 2 days ago on her, and I didn't even know I was using coercive power on her. And we were going through, and I know Reggie can relate to this. I was going through one of those up and downs where we're going at it. Well, she was intense conversation for about 4 or 5 hours. And I told her, hey, what I'm doing and how I'm showing up, if it's not working for you, why don't you leave? And she wasn't going out that door. And she's staying right with me. I mean, I'm still going through my ups and downs, but everything you said, Jeff.
Don't use that one too often.
Oh, I won't, but
because what happens is their strength builds on that one. You have to have multiple angles of approach. I think I gave you about 20.
you did. And half of them I'm using them now.
Yeah, but you also have to make sure you're standing firm. You have to do it with certainty. And I'm telling you right now, there ain't no 4 or 5 hour conversations about this stuff. We're not dealing with
about this.
I'm not dealing with 4 or 5 hours of phantom talk.
Yeah.
Look, she starts talking about phantom talk. We start talking about phantom talk. We're like, yo, what about that man you've been talking about? That man you dating right now? I ain't dating nobody. Exactly. Like, we're gonna go talk about phantoms. Like, we want to talk. Are we playing make believe here? Where's the receipts? Well, I didn't know before. Well, guess what? Here, before I hit my phone, before I hit all the tracking, here's the bills. Here's all. Let's go through the phone bill. You want to go through the phone bill?
Right here.
Who's this? Who's this? Who's this? Okay, we can do this. We're gonna do this one time. Get all the phone bills together and get all the numbers you want. Let's get it. We're gonna do this one time. And then I don't ever want to hear about it again. You're gonna grow up, stop being a little girl. I understand that caused you fear and that made you act like a little girl. You're not gonna act like a little girl anymore. You're gonna be a grown woman. Just like I'm acting like a grown man right now. Before I was acting like a little boy. We're not going back to that space. Now, what dreams, what visions, where do you want to go? How do we want to build this family? What next vacation you want to go on? how are we going to move and operate as a couple in love and care? You want to have those conversations? I'll talk to you for 20 hours. I ain't sitting here for 4 hours talking about your demons.
The second question I had, because I know some other Foundry Mastery brothers want to talk to you. That was layer number 8 on the compass that we were going through the 4 power basics. That's okay, good. Thanks.
Questions? Comments? What do y'all think of this stuff? This stuff comes from a Harvard. No, this is a France and Raven study. This stuff comes from a college paper on, and they didn't really get it right until like several other universities came in on this, and then I saw the best one on it from the Royal Society of London. They had the best take, the best put together, but even then, it needed some work. This was all theory, and then there was a lot of papers that actually proved that theory to be true. There's no books on this. There's literally no books on this. It's college research. I just read that stuff because I'm a boring individual. Comments. What's your biggest takeaway, Darren?
Just basically having the power and authority and utilizing it as a good thing, almost like the military, but at the same time utilizing it as a good thing instead of
All right. I want to hear from Ronald. He's always got deep wisdom to say. If you guys get up early enough to listen to him.
He's the quiet one in the group.
Oh, but he's got a lot to say. That's why he's the most dangerous.
I used some charisma recently and talked my program manager into sponsoring a cookout at my house for my whole team.
Oh wow.
Yeah. They pay for everything. Everything.
That was awesome.
I told I have no trees in my backyard. I need a tent. And they paid for it. So with that charisma, that stood out for me because I just recently used that. Just recently.
Referred power is dangerous, bro. It really is. Like when you can actually have people, when you can create a desire in someone's mind, the things that can be done, right? For good or for bad. We're going to stick with the good. But just finding a desire that you're able to control and create and make true, and having the articulation and the ability to actually deliver that, referring power is dangerous. Because I mean, to some degree, a lot of us have expert power. A lot of the guys that end up in my classes have expert power, and so I don't really get a lot of peons. And once in a while, we get somebody that doesn't know anything. But most of the people that come here are pretty much smart guys. They just have their number one problem is referent power. Like, how do I get people to like me? And instead of just going, I am someone people should like. That's how you get people to like me, is just literally saying, I am someone that people should like, and identifying what qualities that you can accomplish that other people can't accomplish. Look around you. It's not that hard. And the more work you do towards your compass work, the more work you do on your impossible game, the more books you read, the more things you put into practice, the more you go to the gym and exercise, the more you develop power and control in your relationship with your wife in a way that's healthy and responsible. And the more that you do this stuff, the more people are just going to start coming to you. But if you're living a great life and you live it under a bushel, see, I want you to understand that you guys who are hiding under a bushel with all your talents and your greatness, Matthew 14, about midway through, that parable of the talents, the one who buried his talent, they got cast out. Don't be that dude. The talents are meant to be invested in the marketplace. Your talents are meant to be invested in the marketplace. And you're supposed to come back and give your master return on your talents. That's the command. And the ones who do it get doubly blessed, and the ones who don't get doubly cursed.
Can I share a story from today?
Sure.
So I've been working with actually a good friend of mine, but he starts at 8 o'clock. I start at 7. So he showed up this morning, and he had to run to the lumber yard and grab some boards and stuff, and then he didn't have the stain and stuff, and I could kind of tell. I was like, he just didn't seem like himself, and I was like, dude, what's up with you today? There's something wrong with you, and he was like, yeah. He said, we found out last night his wife has skin cancer. They found out last night. And I could tell he was really down, and he's really normally a very positive. He is a believer, and he's usually very up and just joking around and stuff like that. We're usually get along great. And I just immediately thought about all the books that we've been reading about positive thinking and how we think has so much to do with where we're going to end up. And I just shared that with him, that look, God can do anything. And that you just have to be positive about this, because he just went through prostate cancer 2 years ago, and he's still walking today and working. And so I reminded him of positive thinking and just encouraged him to be positive, because your wife is going to run on emotions, and you have to be the guy.
Yes.
You have to be the guy that keeps her strong.
Most of you guys know this, but many of you, some of you might not. My wife is terminal.
Yeah.
We're not walking in that.
So anyway, I seen his countenance come up, or whatever the word is. I just seen his spirits were lifted, and he ended up having a good day. I think.
Yeah. You don't have control over how long you live, but you do have control over how you live.
Exactly.
Why? Like, if I ever got cursed with that, man, I'd be on all my adventures. Like, if I got hit with something when they're like, "Oh, you're gonna die in 5 years," like, man, thank you for permission to drop all this craziness in this mad world. I'm gonna climb Mount Everest. Let's go. We're gonna go bungee jumping off that helicopter. Let's go. Yeah, I'm not looking for death. I'm looking for, hey, I'm gonna live. This is gonna be fun. Because you just gave me permission. Right? And it's crazy. There's 2 things I learned about cancer in my studies of it. One is cancer can't survive without sugar, some form of glucose. It can't. It requires glucose. So a lot of people go carnivore, or they go complete, like, green vegan, not starchy vegan, or some combination of the two. And the other thing is that cancer is a rebellion of the cells in the body. Like, it decides we're not going to grow the way the mind told us to. We're going to do whatever we want. And I'm wondering how much toxicity, both mentally or physically, had to be placed in the body to get those cells to rebel. And why is it that some people can go into remission without treatment, and others go through all the treatments and never get into remission? Is there some psychosocial factor, along with biological and chemical factors, that all combine together to create a force that tells that cancer, hey, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to put down the rebellion? And so even if there's an odd remote possibility that that's the way it works, since the cells are growing in rebellion, since they feed off glucose, what if I were to remove all of those things and put myself into a positive state of mind, positive diet, and live in a positive way? Not only that, but deprive it of the things that it absolutely needs to survive. Most people don't have the discipline to do that, though.
Did you say that cancer cannot survive without sugar?
I'm going to show it to you. It needs sugar to survive.
Sugar to continue growing, I believe.
Yes. The relationship between cancer and sugar or glucose. Hold on.
That all depends on what type and how far along it is and all that stuff, but he's right.
Hold on. I'm trying to find one that's legitimate. Here it is. It's right there in the middle. We'll just go off that one. There we go. Hold on. Gotta show you, not tell you. It may not be that sugar directly causes cancer. Every cell in your body uses sugar, glucose for energy, but cancer cells use about 200 times more than normal cells. Tumors that start in the thin, flat squamous cells in your lungs need even more glucose to fuel their growth.
Yeah.
Is there a correlation between sugar and cancer? To date, there are no randomized controlled trials showing sugar causes cancer. There is, however, an indirect link between sugar and cancer. Eating a lot of high sugar foods, such as cakes, cookies, and sweetened beverages, can contribute to this. May lead to weight gain, excessive body fat, all these things that to cancer's growing. One of the hallmarks of cancer cell development is the increased dependence on glucose to fuel aerobic glycolysis for the increased production of cellular metabolites required for generation of new blomus and facilitate nutrient signaling. In other words, simplified, cancer needs sugar.
Yeah.
And by the way, your body doesn't actually need sugar unless you're diabetic.
Huh.
So what happens when you spoil your kids? Don't they rebel? I know I'm going through it right now. I spoiled my kids.
My youngest one.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
No problem, brother. By the way, that's WebMD. That's, this one that we just read. That's the government. NCBI, NIM, NIH, National Institute of Health. Glucose transporters and cancer. Don't get no better information than NIH. Anything else, fellas? I'm here.
I just thought it was a great takeaway when talking about emotions and stuff, and I'm always looking back at situations where I was just overly emotional, and I was meeting her with her own energy, and I would always think like, why is she looking at me almost with disgust? And instead of giving her that protection, and as a man, just guiding her in the right direction. No, I don't want to talk about it. I want. And now it's just so different. So I appreciate you guys touching on that. That was great.
You're blessed. You got a 6 that wants to talk. I'm just saying, most 6s shut down. Silent treatment is a 6's best weapon. And that'll drive you more crazy than running their mouths. Don't touch me, get off me, don't talk to me. Why are you talking to me?
Question on a different tangent. How do you connect the 4 power bases with EDOS?
Oh, wow, that's the box that holds it all. So if you can actually create referent power, meaning you want to be like me, that means every time I come in your presence, dopamine hit. If I give you attention, dopamine hit. Right? Instant bond. Oh my God, he loves me. Michael Jackson, oh my God, he's right there. Right? Oxytocin. What do you think the groupies go to the room for? They know they're not staying. They go there for that oxytocin serotonin hit. They accomplish the goal. It's a false goal. It's a false narrative, but that's what they're doing it for. Referent power. Expert power gives your wife the certainty that you know what you're doing. My wife used to be all in my business, in my literal business, like my actual daily functions of how I ran my business. What do you spend this for? Why did you buy that? How come you spent that much money on an article? Blah, 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 blah. How come you spent that much money? Why did you buy that camera? That camera was $7,500. Blah, 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 right? And when I started expertising my stuff and all this stuff, I'm like, listen, honey, I've been producing for a little bit here. I read all these books. I got all this knowledge, but I live by these rules. You know, these rules I keep telling you. You keep hearing me tell all these people about these rules. Who do I listen to? I said, man, I love you to death, but I ain't listening to you. You ain't read nothing. You do hair. I don't come to you and talk to you about which style is this and why you buying this curling iron and why did you need that $700 pair of shears for your hair cutting? Like, I don't come to you with none of that. Because I'm not an expert at what a hair person needs. I just trust that you're my wife and you know what you're doing. I'm like, as long as the bills get paid and everything else, don't come over here questioning me about what I'm doing with this money, about these business stuff. You want to question because I was at a restaurant and you want to make sure I'm faithful, that's one thing. But you ain't coming over here talking to me about no business expense stuff because you don't know what you're talking about. I love you to death. I would love for you to do that. You know what? Let me give you this book list. You start reading about it. We'll start going to seminars together. You come to the business seminars with me that I go to, listen to some of the experts I do, watch some of those documentaries I'm watching on TV. You do all that, and then we'll have a conversation about it. End of that conversation. Now, where do you want to go on vacation, babe? You know what I mean? Like, you heard about that new restaurant in town? I think you're really going to like that. You want the new shoes? Like, okay. I get it. They have that survival instinct and they can think about all them things. Now, if we're sitting there talking about finances, we're talking about money goals, we're putting things away. I'm putting that money in an account and we doing that. And I go take something out of that. Now I'm violating trust, right? Because we decided this is where that money goes. But we're talking about cash flow in the business and how I handle that. We're not having that conversation. Now, if she's actually adept and studied and has an MBA, well, I might have to bow and bend to her will. This is what I'm talking about. We're not equal until someone's actually proven that they are. If my wife's adept at business, has an accounting degree or something like that, and she wants to get up all in my business, guess what? Maybe I shouldn't have married an accountant if I don't like that. Or maybe I should take that accountant wife and use her to the best of her ability to help me actually figure some things out, which would be a smarter decision. But we're not having conversations about, like, she ain't going to tell a carpenter how to hammer a nail. You're doing it wrong. No. You can use backwoods common sense with women. It actually works. If you use down country, like, you don't tell a carpenter how to hammer a nail. I never seen you tell the plumber how to get the clog undrained. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to pay him $175. I'd just hand you the snake and let you handle it. You want to get over here and run this business? You know, I got a meeting at 10 o'clock. Can you be there? Because I'm going to go get lunch. What you want for lunch? You can use backward logic with women. It actually works. And if you can do it in a joking and charming way, it helps.
Yeah.
You might get them laughing. It might become playful at that point. My country boyisms, and I have a ton of them. I just don't pull them out that often. But when I have to, they work. That Mark Twain kind of humor.
To be careful with that, because some of us come across as, too serious. So it comes out like, well, you think you know it all.
So you want to fix that, because if they think you serious, then you got a problem on your hand. Women like to play games. They love it. You gotta come home joking one day. Like, if you have to, like, come home in like a costume or something. Do weird stuff. They'll think you're stupid, but
What
you
you
get
been
to
what you
laugh.
been smoking?
Coming home in a Bob Marley wig, fake fat joint in your hand, fake one, like they have the big stuffed animal ones. Don't do that if you got kids. but, just do something weird once in a while.
Yeah.
I'm always playing jokes. Like, I'm not really that kind of guy. Normally in everyday life, I don't joke around a lot, but with you gotta keep it fun.
Mhm.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Reggie, biggest takeaway since you're here, my brother.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff takeaways. Just understanding the basic power, four levels of the power, and trying to understand how you might utilize them on a daily basis, or not necessarily daily basis, but in your interactions, and how to distinguish them. I think is probably the biggest thing as I think through and read through them.
I would work on not trying to use it in a daily basis, because you may not have it yet. I would work more on developing it. So I think you have a ton of expert power. I think 3 ways like you could develop referent power. One, Toastmasters. Over and over and over consistently, repeatedly go to Toastmasters. 2, work on your fun side. Go do an improv acting class. I am telling you, it will get you out of your shell. When you gotta look up at the sky and go, oh my God, there's aliens. Oh, they're coming to get me. And like you're literally just being a kid again. Because you used to do stuff like that when you were a kid, before all these people told you no and turned you into Jack the Dull Boy. You used to play. You actually used to be on a playground and run around like a wild child and scream like a banshee. I guarantee it. And if you can learn to just activate that child in you, it's still there. It's somewhere in your DNA. We got to pull out the primal and have you pull out that little person that can do that type of stuff. And when you can do that, and then you combine that with the ability to articulate yourself in a way to communicate in story form, you combine those two, and now all of a sudden you have instant charisma. And for those who have a real problem understanding charisma, and you're going to have to be like technical with it, I'm going to show you a lady. Let me see if I can find her charisma, the book. Olivia Fox Caban. I need to add this because I have so many 5, 6s. Like you people. You people. The hardest to get through to. Let me find this. There we go. Here we go. I will put this on a list. So this lady has severe Asperger's, okay? Like she had no personality, and she studied it because she needed to run her, I don't know how many companies. So you can actually learn charisma in a step-by-step process. I have a son with Asperger's, and I'm making him read this book right now. I told him if he doesn't read this book, I was going to climb in bed with him like he was 3 years old and read it to him every single day. See, that's both a joke and coercive power. I was going to read him to sleep every night. So he started reading the book because he's 18 and he has no personality. So here we go. This book right here. How anyone can master the art and science of personal magnetism. Some of you need the book. If you don't need the book, go to a class, have fun, be a little kid again. Some of you are just good at hiding it. I'm kind of learning that about Ronald. He turns it on and off like a water faucet. Anybody else got questions? Comments?
It used to be fun until I grew up and realized I had a lot of responsibility.
Be a little kid again, man. I'm telling you, you got to go back. I was so serious, and I was a technocrat. The army like beat the fun out of me. It really did. And then my humor got dark in the military. Like it was always weird. And then like even just the jokes and the dark side of things are just they're terrible. They're absolutely horrific. It's just joke. Anyway, the I had to just learn to play.
Mhm.
And sometimes your kids will bring it out of you. You'll get down and play with logos and like, hey, baby. But you got to just do that on your own. There was a time when you would pick up a grasshopper or an ant or some little bug or something on the ground, a blade of grass, a flower, and you would just stare at it in awe. Trying to just understand the complexities and why these little holes and what are these and why does it have 4 eyes and like or how many ever eyes and how much, like spider or whatever. Like you would sit there and play with the things that you'd run from right now if they landed in your lap. And you would just enjoy life, catching fireflies in a jar or playing with caterpillars. Like all of that, picking up a frog, something that probably disgusts and repulses you right now. Brought you so much joy for 5 minutes. If you can unlock that again, you'll enjoy life a lot more. And you'll look at all these serious people like, what are they doing? Like, I literally look at all of you like, what are you doing? This is not that hard. You don't make it. I gotta read 25 books. No, I read 25 books to be ahead of the other guys who want to come back with me to rhetoric. Life is actually pretty simple. I have 4 things to worry about. Do I feel confident in myself? Why don't I feel confident in myself? Is it something I can control or something I can't control? If it's something I can't control, then I'll control it. The hard one was the body because I love cheesesteaks and I love pizza. And I will eat that every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you let me.
Oh,
And I have an iron gut, so nothing makes my stomach turn. And I will eat the hottest food you can find. Give me a whole pot of chili. I'll chug that thing down. I eat 3 pizzas in a row. I don't care. Like I'm that dude. So that just took discipline. So I found a way to fix that. I've gone carnivore for the most part, little sides of vegetables. But like today, I had like 3 ribeyes. So what? My numbers are online.
okay.
But that's all I had was 3 ribeyes and protein shakes. I'm carnivore for a little bit. That has literally caused me to just shred weight. That's not a permanent thing. That's a get down to weight thing. Allows me to still eat full meals. And if y'all have carbohydrate addiction, most of y'all have dopamine addictions. So you get distracted for your dopamine addictions and you eat crazy bad stuff because of your carbohydrate addictions. It's all lack of discipline. Your body controls you. You don't control your body. You say, I'm hungry. Your body is hungry. You're not hungry. Soul doesn't need food. Body needs food. When you don't realize it's just another chemical. That's ghrelin, by the way. So ghrelin reminds you to eat even when you're not hungry. So if I program myself to eat at 8 o'clock, and I do it for a couple days in a row, I'm going to get a hunger signal at around 8 o'clock because I feel like that's the time to eat. If I miss that, then it'll increase to remind me to eat. So if I train that down to like 11, if I stop eating to like 11 or 1 o'clock, all of a sudden, if I can do that for a week, all of a sudden your body doesn't want to eat breakfast anymore. There'll be no ghrelin response. Leptin says I'm full. If you can learn how to make yourself feel fuller faster, tricks like most of the times when you're hungry, you're actually thirsty.
Yep.
So you drink a full 20 to 32 ounce glass of water before eating anything. If you're truly hungry, you'll still have room. If you're not, discipline.
Stuff.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to call it a night unless somebody has anything else.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you,
guys.
Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks.
Thank you. Ask Hassani for the video if you need it.
Did the last one work? People said they couldn't watch it. I tried the link as well. It didn't work.
He can re-upload it. Just tell him to re-upload it.
Okay.
Tell him he works for you.
What
Start using
video
your
you-
power bases.
What video
You
you
want me to
talking
join the
about?
next class? You'll get this straight, Hassani. I need that
Yeah.
video.
What video are you talking about, Jeff?
Any of these classes are all on video.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, okay, I understood. I thought there was. I talking about a link because I thought there was a link today that, or maybe earlier this week, that you had mentioned that I didn't see. So okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Hey, Jeff.
I gotta add this book to the list. I keep forgetting to do that.
Hey, Jeff, I got an off subject to ask. Hey, did you hear about the guy in prison that embezzled $11 million from I can't remember that rich guy or billionaire. Did you hear anything about that?
Madoff, the one that he jip off Madoff.
No, it just happened probably last week. He was in maximum prison and he somehow embezzled $11 million through the phone. They were sneaking in phones to the guy, and I saw it on Facebook or somewhere. I can't remember where I saw it. I just thought maybe somebody heard about it. Guess not.
All right, gentlemen. Good night.
All right.
Yeah, it looks like it was in Georgia
So when did it happen?
last year. Inmate stole $11 million in gold coin scheme while in prison.
Oh, that was last year. Okay.
Good for him.
All right. He was in prison, Jeff, and he did that in prison.
Influence works. I'm trying to tell y'all, man. If y'all got half as smart and like you just had a little bit of grit to you, you could take all this stuff and use it for good and make money legitimately.
I use most of the stuff that I learned in the books for the corporate in my relationship more than I do at work.
Yeah. This game is easy. Y'all keep studying. You're focused on the wrong thing.
But we're still learning it though, Jeff. This is new to me how to all the layers and everything. It's new to me, so I got to learn it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it took me 13 years to learn all this stuff. I just decided to make it simplified.
Well, thank you for helping us. Appreciate it.
No, it's fun. It's actually once you actually get it though, this is gonna be mostly about subtraction, subtracting the old way of doing things and just doing it the new way, just accepting that the new way works. Like you're gonna play with it, you'll get it wrong, and you'll go, I don't think that works. But 9 times out of 10, I guarantee, especially when it has to do with conversational stuff, it's tone and demeanor. Like I know my wife is going to, or I know my children are going to play a certain game because that game happens every day. It has a pattern. Can you imagine your boy playing basketball with you using the same move on you and you not figuring out that he's going to go right instead of left when he fakes? Like
anticipating, yeah.
You have to be like, okay, she's getting ready to play this game again. I don't really feel like playing today, but if we're going to play the game, let me use my new tools. You have to be that calm about it. It's like the 3-year-old that wants to fight you all the time. Put him up, put him up, put him up. And he comes up, starts punching you, and you go, oh, ouch, oh, you got me. But the problem is you're getting down to their level emotionally. So you're feeling stuff when they're doing the same routine and the pattern of behavior. You'll never be able to heal them from their position. You're trying to heal them by getting in the mud with them. You're jumping in the quicksand. And both of y'all trying to get out. The only way you're going to be able to toss them the rope is to be strong. And don't get in there. You're not going there. And if you get tired of it, you draw the line. But you can let them be in their little emotional state and not be affected by it at all. That doesn't mean be cold. You need to acknowledge their presence and be in it with them. You have to physically be there. But I'm not being there for 4 hours. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, you actually enjoy what you're feeling right now? How about we go get some ice cream? Like, I'm telling you, like, throw things in there that like, do you actually enjoy what you're feeling right now? Because like we're talking about something that I'm not right now. You want to dig it up and throw it back in my face and smack me in the head. But is this fun for you? Are you enjoying it? Because I'm not enjoying it. But I know what you might enjoy. I know you like that chocolate covered blah 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 strawberry caramel ice cream milkshake. You want to go get a milkshake? I think your sugar's low. You know, like, you want me to put on some Dave Chappelle? You need to laugh once in a while.
You're right.
You keep talking to me like this, I'm gonna walk out in the street naked. I'm gonna start screaming. She hit me. Penis out and everything. Like, just get crazy with it. Like, oh no, you won't. Watch me. I'll literally walk to the door and drop my pants.
Yeah.
I won't open it. I'll do it. Like, stop playing with me, girl. Like, stop. Why are you doing this? This is crazy. Like, you're literally talking about stuff that happened.
I guess with my wife, she has that personality, and I could do that, and then she says stop, you know. So, but everybody's wife is different though. But I think I could do that.
My wife is psycho. She'll probably test me, and then I'll get out. You know, like she's psycho.
Yeah.
Norman Bates. Absolutely. Like, but at the end of the day, you've got to be willing to kind of break the mood and shift it. You ever like been serious and somebody made you laugh and you're like, no, I'm trying to be serious, but you can't stop laughing. Like, that is what happens when you hit that dopamine hit. Dopamine and adrenaline together. When you laugh so hard, that adrenaline hits so hard that at some point the adrenaline stops pumping, because adrenaline is very short-lived. That's when you laugh so hard it hurts.
That has happened to me.
So you just got to start like, what is the interrupter? What is her pattern interrupter? Maybe it's comedy. Maybe it's seriousness. She just needs to see you serious. Some of you can't look your woman in the eye. Most of your women can't look you in the eye. So here's the deal. Stop. If you're gonna sit there and say all these names, I need to know you're telling me the truth, that you really feel this way. Look me in the eye and tell me that. Watch them break. You can't do it. If you can't look me in the eye, that means you're not telling me the truth. You can play games with this, man. You don't really believe what you're saying because you can't look me in the eye. That's not it. That's not it. Yeah. Okay. When you want to have a conversation about this next time, come stand in front of me and look me in the eye, and you yell at me for 4 hours. I will stand here and hold.
They ain't gonna do it. She's not gonna do it.
Exactly my point. So we're not having this conversation. You want some ice cream?
Gotcha. I got you. I got you.
These are all little control mechanisms.
Yeah.
And the more silly you get with it, like if you're not normally a jokester where they, think of you as a clown and you're just trying to get out of it, and all of a sudden you're starting to pull this stuff, they're not going to see it coming. Then when they, babe, sounds like you want to have a serious talk, but I can't hear you when you're yelling at me. Have you ever heard yourself when you yell? No one can understand you. Let's sit down. Let's have a calm conversation. What's going on? Tell me. Like you switch, just pull different techniques, become different people. It works, bro. They can't keep up with you. And it's not manipulative at all because you sincerely want them to calm down and you sincerely are not, like I said, you can't do this and be that guy. Because when they figure out that you're that guy, that you're doing all this stuff, and they find like you're actually calming them down, you're keeping them misdirected, and then they find out you're still doing dirt, that's when you wake up Lorena Bobbitt style.
Oh yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Because now their emotions are all over the place, and that's when you wake up with a knife in your chest.
All right, I gotta go. But thank you, Jeff. I like the role play. You helped me out. I hope you helped everybody else. I know you did. So I just want to say thank you. And I gotta go. Gotta go.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. Talk to you later.
All right, take care.